built on relationships, focused on people, and rooted in the community. Welcome to the Build Blue podcast. Tune in for weekly episodes featuring guests who are building a better tomorrow. You'll hear inspiring stories from industry leaders, business owners, community partners, and our team members. The Build Blue podcast, where construction comes to life. An Apex Construction Group production.
Welcome to the Build Blue podcast. My name is Jess Blaze, and we are back with another episode, and we have Ryan Vesey, the Economic Development and Research Manager with Greater Mankato Growth.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you. This is such an exciting podcast episode. I'm really happy that we're getting you on because GMG is announcing today some very exciting grant recipients for the Main Street Economic Revitalization Project.
Yes, we're really excited about this. This is a process that we started our own application for just over a year ago. So we're finally excited that we can have some results from the work we've been putting in.
That's amazing. So let's have you give kind of an overview of these funds, the projects, and what the Main Street Economic Revitalization Project entails.
Yes, so the state of Minnesota announced the Main Street Economic Revitalization Program after with a package that came out as a revitalization program after COVID. And there's a couple of things that were identified in this, and one is identifying buildings or sites and communities that were impacted due to the shutdown in COVID, and another was targeted more towards the metro and looking at the impact of unrest. But what we knew as a community is we're a community that depends on retail, we depend on tourism, so that made us a strong target for the use of these funds. So back in January, we looked at this, and there wasn't really another good organization in the community to apply for this. Greater Mankato Growth never administered a grant program like this before, so it was scary, but we spoke with our board and we made the decision that we're going to apply for these funds. The funds themselves, they're designed really around construction projects. So what we want to see is we want to see buildings get improved, get built, get demolished and rebuilt, so that we have a more vibrant corridor that then fosters new development going forward.
It's so exciting, and I will say, as a general contractor going through the grant process with GMG, it was so accessible and it was so smooth. And so thank you to you and your team for really making, I had no idea that this was the first round of grants you guys had administered, because it was a flawless process.
So the first thing that we did, one of the goals for this grant program is that it's accessible to underserved populations. So one of the first things that we did is we actually had a group that met together 4 or 5 times. It had representatives from the Diversity Council, Minnesota Council of Churches, ASER, which is a program that supports the Hispanic and Latino community. The Small Business Development Center was at the table, and we looked at each element of the grant application. What's the minimum necessary that's important to make the right decisions, and how can we get that in the easiest way possible for an applicant? And that was a lot of work. It was much harder than coming out with an application on my own, but it resulted, I hope, in a good application process.
It was a great application process. So you're announcing 14 grant recipients. Let's talk about some of these exciting projects.
Yes, so we are awarding almost $900,000 with recipients that are being announced today. And these projects range from the smallest just being some simple facade work, some tuck pointing on a building, and the largest being the demolition and redevelopment of the former Duttler Bowl site off of US Hwy 169. So that runs the gamut, and it was designed to run the gamut. And what we're seeing with these developments is that in some cases, these grant funds were absolutely necessary. The program couldn't have moved forward without it. And in other cases, especially with these largest projects, the businesses looked at their project and said, what is it that we could do with additional funds that we couldn't do otherwise? And they applied for funds to support that. So I think one of the ones that's been on the community's radar probably for the longest is a project that Apex applied for, and that's going to be the post at 401. And one of the things that we're excited by is that we're really able to leverage large investments based on this program that the state created for us, and specifically get some good improvements in those. So I know that one of the big challenges that comes with a historic project like that is making sure you properly maintain the history. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Apex focus on that with these funds.
Yeah, and I know one of our biggest goals throughout the project at the post office has been maintaining the historical integrity of the building. And so with these funds, we intend to use them to purchase some very time period accurate light fixtures and some things that are high cost items that are just going to enhance the experience even more. So we're really excited about that, and it will also allow for some additional refurbishment of historical features in the building. So we're really grateful for that one, and we're excited to welcome the community into that building when it's complete.
That's great. And one of the things that's exciting for us is the state likes to see job creation, and not every one of these jobs, or not every one of these projects is going to create a lot of jobs. That was a focus for us, is that sometimes the best need for our community won't. But the post at
That's okay, yeah.
The post at 401 is projected to create more jobs than any of the other projects. So we're excited by that.
That's really exciting for us as well, because with the addition of the event center, the restaurant, the speakeasy, and then the renovations on the second floor as well, we're looking at a lot of specifically hospitality jobs that will be in the downtown area, and then just the revitalization of that Second Street block as well is exciting.
And it's so necessary. We're looking at conferences that are at maximum capacity, so it's going to be good to see that expansion.
Yeah, and we're excited to be able to offer that in conjunction with the Civic Center. If they're hosting a conference, the dinner could be hosted at the post at 401. We'll have the ability and the capacity for those large crowds. So it's gonna be a great one. So thank you.
Yeah. The next project is going to be the Silos. And the Silos is a mixed-use multifamily project that's going up just across from Bridge Plaza, and as the name suggests, right next to the Silo Art Project. And this is a project that had been brought up to me. It's been in the design phase for a long time. I first heard about this over a year ago, and it simply didn't make financial sense. And sometimes programs like this are designed to make that final little push that you need to make a project make financial sense. And this brought something that's been in the ideation stage for years to reality, and we're going to be seeing it in the near future.
Excellent. That's going to be a cool project. I love the name.
Yeah. The next largest project, again, is one that Apex is working on, and that's going to be Elevate 22.
Yeah, Elevate 22 is our commercial campus. It is warehouse space, which is much needed. Anyone who's been on the hunt for warehouse space in our community knows how much that is needed. So we are building a mixed tenant building out across from the Walmart distribution center, and the grant funds will allow us to upgrade some exterior features of that building. So it's kind of like, I compared it to like a warehouse, but make it fashion. So we know that through our internal design team, we can really take a metal building and make it sexy, but this is going to elevate it even more, no pun intended. And we really see that area of our community continuing to grow and expand, and so we're excited to be involved in that expansion, and also just really continue to beautify as the expansion continues.
So I'm a manufacturing nerd, so I'll be in a community and I'll drive through the industrial park because it's fun for me. And so, the tip up, straight concrete block buildings, I like those too. I like them all, but it's really cool when you get one that has some cool design elements that you don't see anywhere else. We're seeing sort of these warehouse exteriors or these manufacturing site exteriors not just used to house the building, but to make a statement about the company that's inside.
Which is really cool. We love that when our customers come to us and they want a pre-engineered metal building, but they want to put some flair to it, like your medieval metal works out in the industrial park. That one stands out. It's got the big orange steel pillars. The pickle barn is a pre-engineered metal building that's just stunning on the exterior and the interior. So we do like to add some flair to our metal buildings, and Elevate 22 will be no different.
Yes. So, the next one here on my list is Hospitality Ventures, and that's actually the Arch and Cable Hotel. So we're supporting that project. It's going to be a boutique hotel that's going into the community in the Bridge Plaza building.
Awesome. They're going to have a lovely view from those rooms.
Yes.
Of the downtown.
With freedom, security, and surveillance coming into Eagle Lake, one of the things that was really important to the city is they wanted there to be a facade on that building that looked good to people who are driving past. It's an important parkway in the community. And what this company did is they looked at the cost of that facade and they applied for grant funds specifically to cover that cost, and it's getting them over that hump for this specific element of the project.
That's cool. I like how people are thinking about these funds and then receiving them. This is going to be exciting to see these projects come to life.
Minari Body Works. So this is the project I'm most excited by. So Minari Body Works has moved into the Cato Q Club, which is a building that's been vacant since 2019. I'm not sure when there has last been some real investment into improvements in that building, but they were moving out of a building in North Mankato. This project allowed them to expand their business, add a yoga studio. I recently just saw someone who needed a yoga studio for their own lessons for 2 to 3 hours a week. Well, this allowed Minari Body Works to have this space available for other businesses, so they're exploring that. It's also going to allow for the creation of a massage therapy training program, which we don't have any massage therapy training programs in Mankato. So
that's really cool.
Yes. And it's truly a project that couldn't have happened without these funds.
Oh, that's awesome. And not to date myself, but I remember when that building was the Children's Museum, like in 2012-ish. So it's fun. It has been vacant for a long time, so it's cool to see. And having a business like that in the downtown area is a neat addition as well.
Yes. So next here is Volk Transfer. So Volk Transfer, actually through their Volk investment groups, they own a building. It has not asphalt, sorry. It has a gravel parking lot, and it's in need of new lighting, new heating. They've got to replace even just the downspouts and fix water flow on that building. And it's been sitting vacant because it's just not in a position to get leased right now. So they use this program to make some of those improvements, and they're actually already have plans to bring a new business into that facility because of the investment they're able to make.
Great, that's wonderful.
Mankato Packaging, we're not announcing yet. Local Brewing Company. This is another one that's exciting. It's always good to have nice craft breweries in a community. And what they're using this for is phases 1 and 2 of a 3-phase project that's going to expand their brewing capacity and their tap room. So we've supported phase 1 already, which has been a resurfacing of their parking lot, and they've added an enclosure for their trash facilities. But phase 2 is going to be an expansion to their brewing capabilities. So they're going to be installing all new equipment that can help with that. Phase 3, it's not supported by this grant program, so it's sitting here ready for the future, but phase 3 is going to be a development of a larger tap room that people can go in to enjoy their brews.
Cool.
GAFA LLC, so that's a name that you might not know, but it's a mixed-use apartment and retail building over in Nicollet, Minnesota. And this is another example. This is actually our smallest program, or our smallest recipient that we're announcing on today. And this was just a stair replacement. And this was a safety issue. The stair was getting run down. It's also a community issue. As you pass by and you see buildings that aren't up to repair, it makes you less likely to keep your building up to repair. So making these investments is important. We replaced this with a steel stair, we widened it, and it's going to be advantageous to the business that uses that, which also has storage on that second floor, as well as the residents who live upstairs.
Awesome.
Landmark Apartments. So the Landmark building, which has been intentionally sitting vacant as it awaits redevelopment, and this is right across the street from the new Burton apartments that are going up. These funds are specifically created to support any tenant improvement dollars that need to be made with the goal of securing either a restaurant or a distillery to occupy the first floor of that building.
That would be a nice addition.
Yes.
To the downtown as well.
Right, and it's side of town. Oh, no, scratch that. Yeah, I don't.
That's
Okay.
right.
There's a project going in North Mankato. So this is the Gerlach building, and this is the building that you might know as you head down Belgrade from the bridge towards the library, and you're going down Belgrade. There's a building on your left-hand side. Was a school at some point. There's this very cool former gymnasium, and they're going to be using these funds to redevelop that building. And then the final one that was the final one.
All right. Well, this is so cool. Number one, I can't wait to see all of these projects get underway, come to fruition. Let's talk about the additional grant funds. As of releasing this podcast, we're in the middle of January, and so there are additional funds available for people to apply for.
Yes. We have somewhere between $900,000 and $1 million that we'll still be assigning here, and that award deadline is due January 31st. So
who can apply? Like, what does that, I know what that process looks like because we've been through it, but for people who are watching or listening, who are business owners contemplating maybe a revitalization project, who can apply for these funds?
So the important thing is to consider first where you're at in the community. And we intentionally made these relatively broad, but if your business is located near US Highways 60 and 169, if your business is located off of Highway 14, or if your business is located in the Mankato, North Mankato City Center, these are the corridors that are eligible for this project. We encourage you to go to our website, greatermankato.com, find the map, because we also worked out with the state that we know that a project that's on the wrong side of the street might still be a good project. So what we worked out is that if you're within a 10-minute walk of the boundaries that we created, you're eligible. So it's hard to say over the microphone here without going to the site, but if you think of yourself being in those areas. And then the next thing to think of is the use of the funds. And as we describe it, it's development, redevelopment, repair, or rehabilitation. And this is pretty wide. I mean, rehabilitation, one specific thing that we discussed could be ADA compliance improvements. So if your building could use a ramp, we can fund a small project for a ramp. It doesn't need to be a massive redevelopment.
That's really important to point out, because I know that that's expensive, you know, and there are buildings that could definitely benefit from that. So that's a great point. And the map on the website is really easy to use. If you're wondering, do I qualify? Am I in the map? It's really easy to use. So greatermankato.com will get you there, and you can find out if you are eligible. Let's talk about this specific area, the corridor, and why rehabilitation of some of these buildings is so important for our communities and the surrounding communities.
Right. Yes. There's 3 corridors that we're looking at, and I'll talk about the US Hwy 169 and 60 corridor first. And the reason this corridor is so important to us is we have 4-lane access that exists between Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Sioux City, Iowa, that all travels down this corridor. So there's a lot of traffic coming in every single day that's not from this area, and this is their first impression of our community. So we picked this corridor to promote investment that's just off of that traffic line. Then we look at the US Highway 14 corridor. We picked this corridor for a couple of reasons. One is it touches all of the major communities in our area and gets all the way to Cortland, Nicollet. That's why we saw some projects there, but it flows through North Mankato, and Eagle Lake. And we want to see some projects coming in from each of the communities. In North Mankato, there's a large development area around Commerce Drive that we're excited to have eligible for these. And then in Mankato, the project widens around Highway 14, especially in the Madison Avenue, River Hills Mall, Adams Street Extension area, because that's some of the area that's seeing the greatest development right now, and we want to encourage more of that.
Absolutely. There is a lot happening in a lot of those areas, and then our downtown too.
Right, and the final, the reason that it's so important to have these funds for downtown development is not only do communities need to see additional investment, which brings people back downtown, it helps the restaurants that exist in the area when you have more daytime workers in the area, but it's also more expensive for investors. It's a lot more expensive to build, and I'm sure you know more than I do, but to build when you're cramped by the roads and other buildings around you than it would be to put something out on the edge of town. So funds like this help offset that extra cost of construction.
You put it so well. Yes, absolutely. And I adore our downtown. If you're watching on YouTube, we share this building. GMG's office is on the main floor of the Grave building, and Apex is here on the 4th floor. And I just, getting to look out at this park from my office all day is like a dream.
Well, from a personal perspective, so I grew up in Windham, Minnesota, and I went shopping in Mankato, but I would not have at that time envisioned moving here. When I came back from college, I was driving through Mankato, and I'm surprised I didn't get in an accident, because I'm sure my head turned all the way around as I passed the Tailwind buildings. And that was the investment in this community that made it so someone like me wanted to live here. It put Mankato into this next level category. And you watch the ripple effect of investments like that. And now we have the new Bailey building, Bridge Plaza, even some single-use buildings, the Prairie Care building that's gorgeous. So we're really excited to see this build-on effect with this growth.
And it's so fun to see, like the Perfinium building and the Bailey building and those really modern kind of glass buildings against the brick historical buildings. It's just this really cool juxtaposition that I love. So when I moved here, they were just building the Hilton. So that's kind of a long time ago, but I was young and I didn't have a very good job. And I remember thinking, like, I want to go have dinner in that cool restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like my big goal. So it's fun to see, even since then, how much the downtown has evolved and continues to.
I was giving a walking tour, both of our sculpture walk, but also of the downtown buildings to an economic developer from Wilmer. And they pointed out that same thing, that the coolest part of our downtown was the mix of old and new, and the fact that it interplayed so well together.
It really does. It's very special. Have you seen, and obviously looking at the list of awards, I can answer this question myself, but a diverse type of businesses that are requesting these grant funds?
Yes, they run the gamut, both in terms of the types of businesses, but also the owner's background. So we're seeing applications, a lot of women-owned businesses. We have minority-owned businesses that are receiving funds, low-income individuals who are receiving funds. That's a major target for us, and we're also continuing to push that in the second round. And that's part of the reason we had 2 rounds, is we knew that some businesses were going to be less prepared with a project already in the works, and the second round is designed to give them an additional almost 6 months to work on an application. We are really encouraging that with a focus on applications for $1,500, which would be a $5,000 project, to $15,000, which would be a $50,000 project. And we still have about $138,000, I think, set aside specifically to fund those projects. So you're not really competing against the $15 million project,
yes,
because we have funds specifically for you.
Yeah, and I love that you've spelled that out, because I think for a small business owner, just hearing like grant application can feel very intimidating, very overwhelming. Like, do I qualify? How long is it going to take me? I'm not a grant writer. So I think it's, again, back to the really smooth process and accessible process of applying.
Right, and even better than that, so we have the Small Business Development Center here in town, which it's an amazing resource. It's free small business consulting, and when it's not just for startups, it's for any small businesses. But they are the official provider of grant application support. So if you're a small business and you don't know how to get the documents together that you need, you want an opinion on the answers that you've put in, are they written well, you can sign up for free services with the Small Business Development Center, and they'll help you with that grant application.
They're a great resource. What are we seeing in the rest of the state, and kind of how does Mankato fall in or compare to funds in the rest of the state?
Yep. So we were funded in the second round, but we were the 3rd community in the state to get our grant awards out there, or our grant application out there. As of right now, I haven't been made aware of any other communities awarding any projects. That doesn't mean they haven't, but I haven't seen those. So we worked really hard to get these out quickly. We are going to see projects in Rochester. So Destination Medical Center received funds, so there will be development in downtown Rochester. We'll see investments into Worthington and in Nobles County. Near us, we're going to see investments in Faribault, Northfield, and I believe Blooming Prairie. Faribault received their own funding, and then Northfield and Blooming Prairie are supported by the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation.
Okay.
So we're excited to see a lot of this.
A lot of great communities that we're going to see exciting developments. Again, we want to applaud you guys for making this so accessible, so easy. So if you are a small business owner, check out the application, see if you qualify for that second round of funding. And then I just want to ask you, Ryan, is there anything, any initiatives through your focus of GMG that you want to add before we wrap up?
So we're working with the Small Business Development Center. We don't have the program details ready for announcement, but it's going to be a long-term program to help businesses that are looking to take themselves to the next level through a series of workshops. So if you're a small business owner and you could use some support, you're trying to elevate your business, or maybe you're thinking of starting a business, reach out to the SBDC, reach out to us, and we'd be happy to help you get into this program once it's announced, which should be occurring this month.
Oh, this is so exciting. Everything you guys do down at GMG is just so thoughtful and such an asset to our community. So thank you. Thank you for coming on the podcast. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Build Blue podcast. I'm Jess Vesey.